Please join me in welcoming Kate Firestein and Felix Audebert for a special introduction.
I met Austin, literally, the very first day of my exchange year. Right after I had arrived to the United States, I went to soccer practice with my new team, the Cassopolis Rangers, which Austin also played in. It only took very few practices until Austin asked me if we wanted to hang out sometime, which was really helping me a lot with getting to know people and coming into a new community as a German exchange student. So we hung out for the first time only a couple days into my exchange, and we became best friends. I really wouldn't have thought I was going to be able to find such a good and reliable friend that fast. From then on, we hung out on a regular basis, went to watch football, basketball, and volleyball games, stood at his house, or just drove around and had great conversations. If I have ever had any questions about any problems, Austin was always there to support me and a great advisor. If you were to describe a perfect friend, the result would be very close to my impression of Austin. And if you were to describe a perfect FFA state officer, the description would also be very true for Austin. Smart, determined, loyal, hardworking, and polite. It is my sincere honor to introduce your 2022-2023 State Officer, Austin Smego.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kate Firestein, and I'm one of the advisors of the Montague FFA. I met Amanda in 8th grade ag class, and little did I know back then, she would impact me in more ways than I could count. Amanda has been in my classroom during some of my greatest times and some of my hardest times. She has seen me laugh, cry, sear with anger. She's even seen me be lazy. She has seen many amazing and not so amazing looks on my face. Through it all, though, she was steady. She has a very rough exterior that protects a beautiful interior, and I'm honored to share her with you today. Last night at 11:53 p.m., I received a text message. A myriad of thoughts went through my head. Did something bad happen? Did a freshman do something stupid? What kid lost their water bottle and figures I need to know that at 11:53 p.m.? Something wrong with the greenhouse or barn back at school? I turn over my phone and I see the name Amanda Johnson. My first thought was, oh man, she is texting me to see if I have this intro done. Sure don't. Then I thought, wait, she already knows I don't have it done, so that's not it. Maybe she wanted to congratulate me on our chapter's awesome evening last night. She didn't. Maybe she wanted to share something about convention almost being over and her final time here in the Wharton. That wasn't it. As I opened the text, I read this. Griff just posted a horrendous photo of me. I'm so glad you have good photography skills. I smiled and thought, once you're someone's FFA advisor and ag teacher, you're in that job forever. Naturally, I had to go look at this supposed horror before responding. What she doesn't know is that earlier in the evening, Griff shared with me that Amanda is great with his students at the hotel, which came as no surprise to me. Outside of those natural being a human moments that we all have, Amanda is great with almost everything she does. The best part of this is that being great hasn't come naturally to her or easy all the time. This means she has to work for it. She has to plan, reflect, do it over. When being great doesn't come easy, I think it means you end up being even greater. Your impact is wider, it reaches deeper, it's stronger. It wasn't always this way with her. It's why her freshman year speech was shared with me a million times, each time she changed something. And it's time to come clean, Amanda. I didn't look at every single change you made because I knew there were more coming. I did look at that photo and I texted back that it's okay because you're a real person who does real person things and you look fine. You were just in a tough spot with your photographer. But she isn't to blame for Griff's poor photography skills. But what she and all of us need to realize is that we are greater than any horrendous photo. Amanda was once a little baby freshman in an ag room who wouldn't even give a speech to an empty room. And now she is about to share wisdom with all of you. Consider yourselves lucky because she has been sharing with me the last 6 years, whether she realizes it or not. It is my honor to introduce to you your 2022-23 State Secretary, Amanda Johnson.
Pulling all nighter, sitting around fire for the first time in so many years. Someday I will come to my senses, stop sitting on fences in fear, and I will realize. Pulling up.
The final score, Comstock 10, Rangers 2.
Why do we always lose?
Amanda, it's time to set the table.
Why do I always have to set the table?
When we take time to intentionally reflect on our past, we can recognize the change we need to propel our future.
When I was little, say around the age of 5, most 5-year-olds were called, "Honey, it's time to eat," and would come running into the dining room and plop into a chair. But that's not quite what I heard. When it came to dinner, one unique thing about my family was that I had to set the table before dinner could be served. Now, at 5 years old, I was this tall, and the dinner plates were all the way up there. So, my parents would grab the plates down. I'd grab the plates that were set on the counter and carry them to the table. I would place the plates at each spot, one at a time. I went to the pantry and grabbed napkins, folding them in half before proceeding to place each napkin next to each plate. I walked to the silverware drawer and grabbed a fork, knife, and spoon for each person. Now, this next part may seem, well, kind of silly, but I would make 3 laps around the table. The first being the forks. The second lap would be the knives. And you guessed it, the third and final lap was the spoons. Now, at the time, I didn't really understand why setting the table was so important. It was something that we did in my family. From helping my grandparents at family dinners to completing my chore, it was completely normal. 5-year-old Amanda was told to set the table, and after repetition, I no longer had to be told. Instead, I just did it. Setting the table at 5 years old also didn't really hold a lot of meaning and value. Today, though, I can now understand things with an older perspective. In particular, setting the table now holds so much value to me. Following the tradition of setting the table has allowed me to recognize that I value the connection I have with some of the most important people in my life. Reflecting on myself from 5 years old to today, traditions like setting the table seemed unnecessary, but now serve as a way for me to reground myself. By honoring and acknowledging traditions, I can continue to move forward productively.
Often, we might think of traditions as being old and outdated. However, this mindset overlooks what traditions truly are. See, traditions hold a sense individually for each of us, as well as a sense of the people we surround ourselves with. Just as important are the foundations that traditions lay. When we are down on ourselves or down on the world, we can fall onto those foundations that traditions have formed. If we want to intentionally reflect on our traditions, we can respect them.
Our traditions will look different and hold different meanings for each of us. Having different meanings and feelings often makes things blurry and confusing, allowing, though, the opportunity to gain clarity. When we reflect on traditions, we can recognize the power and value that traditions hold. Whether it's a family gathering, school assembly, or even setting the table, it's okay to question tradition. As a kid, I questioned why setting the table was so important. That curiosity, though, led me to its importance. The truth is, we all might question why we do what we do, but lean into it. Questioning our traditions is a way we can learn to acknowledge their power and value. When we acknowledge traditions, we can assess their meaning and choose whether their actions we want to continue with. When we reflect on traditions, we can pose these 4 questions. Does this tradition hold a sense of being that allows me to feel grounded in my identity? Does this tradition hold a sense of belonging, creating space for comfort and support while allowing me to feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself? Does this tradition hold a sense of believability, creating a space for fulfillment? Does this tradition benefit and serve others? When we use being, belonging, believability, and benefit, we find the value that traditions hold in our own lives.
The tweet of a whistle pierced my ears as I ran onto the soccer field. Just a few moments left, and the first game of the season was already over. And the ball was put into play. Running left, running right. There's just a few moments left on the countdown in the second half. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All play came to a stop as the home team, Comstock, 1. Rangers, 2. Comstock, 10. Total blowout. My senior soccer season as a Ranger was already not looking good. After exchanging a line of high fives, we loaded our stuffs back into the vans to head home. I put in my AirPods and reflected on the game. Angry at the loss, I looked out the window and wondered to myself, when are we going to win? When are we going to change? A month later, in a week leading up to a home game against Comstock, we were hard at work in practice. We worked on drills that focused on our accuracy, concentration, and ultimately, teamwork. After practice, we watched the last match against Comstock, taking notes on every reaction they had to our offense and defense. See, in the previous games of the season, we were running a 4-3-3 formation. If you're not well-versed in soccer slang, this formation is very balanced, making sure we have players on all sides of the room. But from our observations of the Comstock team, we knew that they were a very attacking, focused team. And the last match They were quick to get past our defense. So our coach proposed a new approach, switching to a 5-4-1 formation. Putting more players on our defensive line would make our defense stronger and ultimately harder for Comstock to get past. The next day, the tweet of a whistle started the game, and the Rangers, out of the gate, were aggressively on the attack. We put in 1-2 goals. Comstock came back with a couple goals as well. At halftime, the scoreboard read, Rangers 3, Comstock 3. Neck and neck with each other, the second half started. Goals were being in left and right. The clock was counting down faster than I could think. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I looked up at the scoreboard, out of breath, and a smile on my face. Rangers 5, Comstock 6. Even though we didn't win that game, we were still hard at work in practice, getting better with every single game. And our formation change proved effective, allowing us to stand toe-to-toe with even the most advanced team in our division.
Change is inevitable. If we allow ourselves to view change with a negative mindset, it removes our ability to make a change in a positive way. When we think of change, we may envision completely rethinking the usual or the status quo. Finding comfort in the status quo at all times leads us to be in a stagnant state when nothing is changed. The status quo can be comforting because, well, it's easy. It doesn't require us to take risks or potentially be wrong when change is made. Yet, over time, when we stay in the status quo, our success stalls. Because individuals, teams, leaders, and organizations have missed out on opportunities of growth, and stagnation becomes the mode of operation. All of our ideas, thoughts, and opinions are based on our past experiences. It's these experiences that can be a call for a catalyst of change. This change can be a turn in the direction of progress.
A song by one of my favorite artists, Zach Bryan. He helped me get the drive for change with one of his songs. A line in it goes, "Someday I will come to my senses, stop sitting on fences in fear. And I will realize that after all of this time, that someday was always just right here." See, we always get caught up in the what ifs of things, leaving us susceptible to falling into the status quo. When we finally realize that someday was always right here, we can be proactive and rethink the way we think. As leaders, we might find ourselves saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or falling into the tradition of the phrase, that's how it's always been. But let's ask ourselves, how can we be a catalyst for change? We need to ask ourselves, how can I, a leader, create positive change for those around me? If we want to create change, we need to dig deep. We need to acknowledge the perspectives around us by asking, what are your thoughts on this? Getting outside knowledge and asking those tough questions like, why isn't this working? And how can we fix it? we need to be able to plan our first steps and be at the forefront of change. We also need to be open to all ideas. If we want to create change, we need to dig deep and say to ourselves, how can I be a catalyst for change?
When we use being, belonging, believability, and benefit, we find the value that traditions hold. Finding value in traditions is important because it allows us to honor and respect ideas and actions that have previously existed. Being able to rethink and challenge the existing can allow us to unite and grow together.
If we want to create change, we have to acknowledge the perspectives around us, able to reflect on traditions, as well as be able to be at the forefront of change. Together, we can reflect on our traditions and memories in order to create change. Michigan FFA, find tradition in change.
Austin, although your cookies can taste like dish soap, and you have some interesting music taste, we couldn't imagine you not being on the team. You always have a smile and bring a positive energy whenever we are together, and your passion for FFA and agriculture shine through in all that you do. Michigan FFA, our Region 1 State Vice President, Austin Smego.
Amanda, from learning about your love for rap music and seeing how crazy you get when you're tired, you never stop surprising us. From one Region 5er to another, your hard work, dedication, and organizational skills are impressive and have left an immeasurable difference on our team this year. Michigan FFA, our State Secretary, Amanda Johnson.